folks, and welcome back to another weekly What I Watched. I've just realised sitting here, because I haven't been here for a while, how messy my background looks. I don't set a background for videos or to look a certain way. These are just like my shelves with bits and bobs on that I like, so I do apologise. It's not. This is my kitchen table, so I'm in my dining room and just all our stuff's on the walls, which is where I record, but it does look a bit unprofessional. I do apologise. But without further ado, let's get into what I've watched in the last week. Okay, so we start the week on the 25th with, not sure how this is said, I think it's 84 Charlie Mopek. So this is probably the first found footage movie that people really don't know about. I was first aware of this one when Aaron from Screenstar spoke about it on his top 10 all-time found footage movies, and then Leo from Geek Legion of Doom also mentioned it recently. And it's one that I've always wanted to see but could never seem to find. Now, ridiculously enough, I never looked on YouTube. The whole movie is actually on YouTube. It's not very good quality, I'll warn you before you watch it. What this is, an army cameraman is embedded with a reconnaissance, at least I can't read again, reconnaissance patrol, and charts their mission across territory controlled by the North Vietnamese. So it's during the Vietnam War. This guy's then filming everything that's happening. It starts off, it is quite slow, we're getting to know the characters, which I enjoy, and then it sort of throws us into a bit of combat, and all that's captured on camera. It's not, we're not talking Saving Private Ryan here, we're not talking massive carnage or any of those things. It does hit very hard home because it places you right in the middle of the conflict and the men, and you really get to know their different personas. I enjoyed it, I thought it was really good. I wouldn't say I loved it, but I would say it was definitely really interesting, and it would be one of the first found footage movies that never really got the credit for being that. So yeah, 84 Charlie Mopek. It was called Mopek, I think, because that's something to do with moving pictures or something. It was a nickname he was given, so that's where it comes from. So the following day I watched Being the Ricardos. I keep wanting to say Meeting the Ricardos, and I don't know why. So this is one that's been given massive plaudits. We've got Nicole Kidman and Javier Bardem, who star as the real life couple Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. Arnaz? Is it pronounced Arnaz? Anyway, however it's pronounced. They go on to do the TV show I Love Lucy. It shows you the whole beginnings of that, where it started. It very closely follows their marriage, it follows the TV show, it follows the politics between all the different people that worked on the show, but mainly it follows the dynamic between husband and wife, and her just feeling that he's never been entirely faithful to her, and just the dynamic of them working together, and her struggles as a woman, a very strong-minded, outspoken woman in a time when women really shouldn't be that way. I felt she was excellent in this, I really did enjoy it. You can see some other people's ratings there. That's so we've got everything from a 2.5 up to a 4 there by the look of things. I rated it a 3, probably 3.5. I did enjoy it. I feel it's well worth watching. It won't be for everyone. It is a bit slow. It's mainly something you watch for the character pieces. On the following evening, this is a documentary that's just hit Netflix, The Mystery of Marilyn Monroe, The Unheard Tapes. Now, I have always had I feel sorry for Marilyn Monroe, and that sounds like a ridiculous thing to say. I mean, she was one of the most famous actresses and sex symbols in the world. The brighter the star, the darker the truth. This documentary explores the mystery surrounding the death of movie icon Marilyn Monroe through previously unheard interviews within her inner circle. This does have a lot of interesting information within it, but only really one piece of information I wasn't aware of before. Everything else is common knowledge. And they do a lot of discussion about her early career, about her friendship with the Kennedys. There was a little bit about knowledge she perhaps had because she was present at conversations that happened when President Kennedy was talking about things that outsiders shouldn't really be hearing about, and it may have contributed to her death. That was what I took away from the show. They didn't concentrate an awful lot on her death, on the situation. They did cover it, but I didn't feel they went deep enough. I felt we would have needed another minimum of half an hour. We could have, this was a one-off piece. It's not a series, it's a one-off documentary. they could have made a series of this. They could have made a much longer standing piece. I feel it's worth watching, it's interesting, but I don't feel that you will get much more information than you already know. It's certainly nothing groundbreaking. So I give that a 3 out of 5. On the following evening, I watched Monstrum. Okay, so this is a Korean movie. This was really interesting. Only watched by 2 people. We have a 3 and a 4. So, am I going to try and read that? Let's have a go. Pardon my pronunciation. Ancient Korea, 1506. The tyrannical king Yeonsang-gun of Joseon, oh Jesus Lisa, why did you even start? Is overthrown by his half-brother Jungjong, whose reign begins with a bloodbath. Over the years, traitors plot against him, sinking the kingdom into chaos. In 1528, frightened rumours come to royal palace regarding a mysterious creature known as Monstrum by the peasants. Now, I could have tried to explain that in my own words, but I would have probably just said loads of politics surrounding the king of this particular village. All the villagers, all the poor people are coming out with this story about this. There's a bird on the trampoline. It's not a magpie though. It's a big crow. I'm so easily distracted. So they're talking about Monstrum, this big monster. Is it real? Is it the figment of their imagination? Is it their word for something else they don't understand? You have to watch the movie and find out. Now, this I did enjoy. Right, so I've discovered that this phone shuts down if you don't touch it constantly. And it keeps shutting off the recorder, which is really hacking me off at this point. So, I enjoyed it. I was hoping for something a bit more on the line of The Host, which if you're into monster movies, you will know what The Host is. I did like the special effects. There was some nice gore in places. There is a creature, that's not a spoiler. It is known as a creature feature. There is also a lot of politics involved in this. I do feel it's a decent watch. I would recommend it. I think I gave it a 3.5. Yep, a 3.5 out of 5. This is really disjointed, folks. I do apologise. On the following evening, I watched Timer. Okay, I had a few issues with this one. So, when will you find the one? In this comedic fantasy, science has facilitated the search for a soulmate via biotechnical implants that count down to the moment one is supposed to meet his or her match. But Una is worried. She's nearly 30 and her timer isn't ticking yet. Will her dream guy get snatched up by someone else? And you can see the scores down below. The first 2 are actually by the same person, my friend Chris. So we have a 4, a 3.5 and a 3. So this concept is that if you wish to get this implant implanted in your wrist, you can do. But yours will only start ticking if your soulmate also has one. So at the moment that your soulmate, the person you're meant to be with, gets one implanted, yours will start to tick down to the time that you both will meet. So in order for this to work, you both have to have the device. And the woman that we follow, hers has never started ticking, which means the person out there that's meant for her doesn't have one, or perhaps there's no one meant for her out there. She basically decides just to have some fun. She consciously looks for men that have a timer and they maybe have some time on that timer. They're waiting about, they're looking for something casual, and she gets involved with a young man who is, she's 29, I think he's at college, she's maybe 22, 23. And this movie basically follows, should we think fate is a real thing, and should we trust this technology to tell us that this person is the one, or should we follow our own heart, and should we find who we feel we connect with? Also, something that happens is you count down to a specific day, and on this day you meet the person, but when you're physically face to face with that person and you make eye contact, your timer makes a little happy noise and it basically stops. You've met the person, you've met the one. And we've got the scenario where like 2 14-year-olds are meeting and they've no more interest in each other than I have in a banana, you know what I mean? So that's basically the concept. Now, everyone that knows me knows I'm not a big rom-com fan, which is what this is. It does attempt to be a little bit deeper than that, but I feel that the message it gives, and especially where we end on this, it ends really abruptly, and it ends with a you know, they're sort of like given an idea, this is what's going to happen, but we never actually see it happen. And I personally feel completely the wrong message is how they end on this. I felt it was going to go the opposite way the whole time, but it didn't as it ended. I couldn't get on board with the main girl, as she just seemed such a selfish, self-involved individual. I just, nah. I gave it a 2.5. It was okay. It passed an hour and a half or however long it was, but I certainly wouldn't ever watch it again. On the 30th, we watched Dog. Now, this has been on our watch list for quite a long time. I decided to sort of like go for it because Aaron from Screen Stars had said he'd really enjoyed it. It was a really nice movie. I liked the fact he said there's no real peril as such. You don't constantly think that the dog's going to die, which is good. Although that is kind of like implied in the background, but it just, you never really take it seriously. So this story follows Channing Tatum, who has to bring this dog to a funeral. Someone who used to partner with in the army has died. He is trying to bring this guy's dog to his funeral. The dog refuses to fly. The dog is really temperamental, is quite vicious, and he takes a road trip with this dog, and it basically follows all the various situations that they get into together. It's a sweet film. The dog is absolutely adorable. What I didn't know is this is based on Channing Tatum's own dog that he lost, who he went on a road trip as such with when it was near the end, and he wanted to make a movie. He directs this also, where Lulu, his dog, was called, and that's used in the movie as well. Different breed of dog. I did look up all about it. The thing about the army and all that is all inserted here. That's not part of his story, but he wanted to immortalise, I suppose, his dog and his relationship with his dog, and this is how he's done it. It's a sweet movie. It's very easy to watch. It's very, you know, my kid enjoyed it. I didn't think it was amazing. 2.5. I didn't cry, which is ridiculous. There was one specific scene near in the end that I did well up a little bit. But other than that, it was just a sweet movie. 2.5 out of 5. On the same evening, now I've been wanting to see this for so long, everybody's seen it like so long ago, The Worst Person in the World. There is other people's reviews for this. Look at them scores, folks. This covers, we follow a lady in this, a woman in this, who is in a relationship. What does it actually say? It chronicles 4 years in the life of Julie, a young woman who navigates the troubled waters of her love life and struggles to find her career path, leading her to take a realistic look at who she really is. Right, you'll watch this and you won't particularly find yourself on this woman's side all the time. You won't particularly love her all the time. She makes some poor choices. She is unfaithful, but she is searching for her path in life. She is not taking the wrong path to suit someone else. She's trying to decide who she should be with, what she should do, sort of like breaking out of the inhibitions of what she thinks she's not capable of, who she thinks she's not good enough for, and it basically just follows her search for herself. I really enjoyed it. I really liked the performances. I won't say I really liked the character. I didn't, but I don't feel, I'm not going to say I didn't dislike her. She was a very normal person, quite selfish, but most of the characters are multifaceted. There was no real bad guy and good guy in this. It was just normal individuals and normal relationships. What did I give it out of? I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I did enjoy it. I did like the performances. It won't be for everyone. Not an awful lot happens. We're just following one woman's life for a few years. It was interesting, and if you are a nosy individual like I am, you'll probably enjoy it. I give that a 3.5 out of 5. Okay, finally, I binged yesterday The Thing About Pam. Now, okay, so this is Renée Zellweger, and she is so good in this. She has to wear a lot of prosthetics to make her look like this individual. This is a true story, and will probably end up as the subject of a video that I will do in the near future. Okay, so Renée Zellweger plays Pam Hupp. This is an individual that is involved in a massive case against the murder of her friend. We are following the case. We're trying to find out who's involved, to what degree is Pam involved, to what degree is this woman's husband involved. So, based on the 2011 murder of Betsy Faria that resulted in her husband Russ's conviction, although he insisted he didn't kill her, his conviction was later overturned, but the brutal crime set off the chain of events that would expose a diabolical scheme deeply involving Pam Hub. There's a lot to this story. I had never heard about this. It's really interesting. It twists and turns. There's so much in the background. They could have done a 10-part series. I think this is a 6-part series. They could have easily done 10 episodes with stuff that we find out that's happened prior. Really, like, oh my god, you know. I did look up the story afterwards. They do stick very close to the story. What I will say is this, when I started watching this, it was really jarring. And I do know that the police that worked on the real case and individuals that live in that town were really disgusted by this show because it is told in quite a weird, dark humour type way. It is narrated by the guy that narrates Dateline, the crime show. It is pretty dark. It is pretty, you know, it's not presented in a serious way. In places it appears quite flippant. We're looking at the scene of a woman lying on the floor dead, and he's narrating it over like he's telling a story, but not in a sensitive way. I did find that quite jarring to start with, and I'm like, this is really insensitive. Can you imagine if you were that woman's family watching this? I did get used to it. I watched it because it's true crime and because the performance by Renée Zellweger was so good. I was really interested in what happened, so I did watch it and I did get used to that style, but I will warn you up front, it is pretty jarring. And if you're wondering why the screen keeps moving, I keep touching it to prevent my phone from switching off. It won't be for everyone, but it's so interesting. If you watch it, you will loathe this character. She looks and acts exactly like someone I know, who from now on me and my husband will be calling Pam, which made it all the funnier for us. True story, really shocking stuff, really interesting stuff, but it is told in a slightly different way than you would expect. I gave that a 3.5 out of 5. And finally, I have started to watch The Dropout. This is on the recommendation of Sean from Lost in the Reel. So this is a true story also, but about a woman that I'd never actually heard of. So she had the world at the tip of her finger. This is the story of Elizabeth Holmes, the enigmatic Stanford dropout who founded medical testing startup Theranos. So lauded as a Steve Jobs for the next generation, once worth billions of dollars, the myth crumbled when it was revealed that none of the tech actually worked, when she put the health of thousands of people in grave danger. Okay, just because let's see if anybody's rated this before I switch it off, because I'm going to switch. No, nobody's. I think people only tend to put films on there. If I've watched it and it's on there, I'll log it. So this is a true story. This woman, it follows her from when she was at college, when she decided to drop out, when she came up with the idea. Basically, it started as a blood testing system where people could test their blood at home on a machine, just prick their finger, no more needles, test them for all kinds of things. But there are many issues, but she is a very pushy, persuasive, ambitious woman that morals and ethics tend to be something secondary. And I am only at episode, I believe, 5. I believe there are 10. And she's just hideous. She's horrible. The performance by, what's her name? I've forgotten the actress's name because I'm stupid. I shall put it up. Her performance is fantastic. I am enjoying it. I cannot believe what she's got away with. She seems to choose these rich, powerful men and stroke their ego an awful lot and make them feel like, oh, you're the only one that can do this, and if you invest in this, you will be the next, you know, and like Google or the next Apple. And these very influential rich men are backing her with no proof that her machines even work. It's ridiculous, and she manages to manipulate people and lie to people to get them to do exactly what she wants. She is a real bully. It's interesting. I cannot believe I never knew who she was, but I didn't. So yeah, halfway through that, I shall let you know when I finish that, probably by next week. Okay, so I think that's all I've watched. I'm still watching Ghost Adventures, trying to watch as much YouTube as I can. What I do on an evening, I have an hour and a half or 2 hours on Assassin's Creed Valhalla. You're sick of the sound of it. And when I am playing that, I will have my phone propped in front of me so I can half watch, half listen to people's videos. And that's like the little amount of time that I get every day, and that's what I do. I'm still playing the game. It's so long. There's so much to do, it's ridiculous. I'm a person that won't go from start to finish. I will search everywhere that there's stuff to be found. I will do every mystery. I will find every artifact. I will collect every Roman collection piece. Everything I must do. I'm one of those. So I'm still in the midst of that with Ivor, my Viking. Yeah, I'm loving it. As I say, I'm still looking forward to playing God of War when it comes out, the new one. And there's a new Assassin's Creed coming out, so you can imagine who'll be on that. I did go back to The Sims for a bit, just for a bit of R&R, but I'm bored of that again. I did 100% that. Tell you what really annoys me, and I know I'm ranting now. Any of you guys out there now, if Joe's watching this from Geeky Hijinks, I believe that Joe has a tattoo of God of War, so he's obviously played it. What really irritates me is I love that game so much and I only 99%ed the trophies. There is a final battle with a final Valkyrie and I cannot do it. Well, I maybe tried it about 20 times and I got so hacked off I gave up. But to 99% a game and to not be able to beat one boss really irritated me. So if you've played it and if you've completed that, let me know what the secret is. I've done all the others, but that's final Valkyrie. She had me, she just, no. So, I'm coming away from playing it with RSI, trying to kill this bloody thing. I just gave up eventually. So that is what's been going on this week, folks. Yes, I'm still listening to Cyrano. Of course I am. I'm just doing people's head and listening to it, but I can't help it. It's one of those things. I'm on a Peter Dinklage kick at the moment. I'm trying to watch everything he's ever done. I just love him. I just think he's inspirational. I absolutely adore the man. So, that's what's going on this week, folks. I've just had a message pop up and had to do that to see what it was. It was Jules commenting on one of my videos. And I think it must have been Marilyn Monroe, because you know you see the first line of something, it said, I always said she was murdered, so it must be about Marilyn Monroe, and I agree, I believe she was too. So, thank you for watching, folks. I shall be back next week with another What I Watched. I will try and do some kind of I want to cover the true story behind that, the Thing About Pam, because it's so interesting, but time's against me at the moment. My dad's got shingles, he's not well at all. My mum, as I've said before, my mum's very ill, she's got MS, so it's sort of like in and out there a lot and trying to sort of sort things out, so time is a little bit against me this week, but if I can, I will. Thank you so much to you for watching and commenting, and I look forward to speaking to you again next time. Over and out from Lisa Lives.